we go. I'm starting the recording. All right, you're recording, so we're ready to roll, Eric.
Sounds good. You should mute everyone. I can hear an echo.
I'll mute myself here.
Everyone's muted.
All right, so welcome. At any point, if you have any questions, my contact information is right up there. You can always shoot me an email. Welcome to the Mastercam 2021 rollout, Multiaxis Enhancements. My name's Aric Duprey, and I'll be your presenter today. I've been a machinist since trade school. I'm a Mastercam user since V5. Employed at MACDAC Engineering for 9 years as manager of the tech support department. I do play guitar and have a slight problem collecting gear, but I got a very understanding wife, so it goes hand in hand. All right, today's agenda, new 3+2 automatic roughing toolpath, new Multiaxis Pocket toolpath, some enhancements to the Multiaxis Morph, Rotary Advanced, and a new safety zone shape called Wrap, some miscellaneous improvements, and new mill turn machine environments. So let's get started. All right, so this is pretty cool. A new toolpath for the Multiaxis called 3+2 automatic roughing. 3+2 automatic roughing automatically makes multi-plane 3-axis toolpaths for roughing. Mastercam analyzes the model and the stock and then creates a roughing toolpath. Then Mastercam calculates the remaining stock and computes a new toolpath. And this pretty much continues until the defined amount of stock remains. So the cool thing about it is that you can get a result like this in one toolpath. So there's three ways you could do this. Whether you let the computer do all the work or you define some planes yourself, but either way, one toolpath, you can get all that stuff roughed out. So it's got 3 types of patterns you can do for roughing. It's dynamic, parallel, or offset. And the cool thing here is that we can control the intermediate steps to only step up after all depths, unlike OptiRough, which does it after each step down. So basically you can do all your steps, and at the very end is all the step ups on the way up, which is actually something we requested quite a bit for. So how does it work? We have 3 automatic. So what you do here under tool axis control is you set it for automatic. You have some search criteria and you set that in there. And what it does is it tries to find any plane it can create for you. And when it does that, it puts a roughing toolpath on it. And it's a 3-axis toolpath, not a multi-axis with simultaneous motion. It's all 3-axis motion after that. So basically, the 3+2 part of this. Actually, let's go back. With automatic, one thing to note is that the regen times can be a little longer because the system's thinking for you. It's trying to find everything. So sometimes go into something like a semi-automatic mode where you define some of the planes, but you also have the search criteria available so it can find stuff in between. So maybe between right and back, you have those planes, you can define them, but maybe there's something in between there, so you let the search criteria find that for you. And the last mode is manual, where it only does the things you ask, so if you only pick top and front, it's just going to do those 2. It's not going to try to think. There's no search criteria, nothing like that. So I'll show you what I mean by that. So this is a part here where that's our start stock, that's our finish stock off one toolpath. So not too shabby. So the interaction is pretty smooth actually. So this one's set up for a manual mode. And maybe I got most of what I want, but I'm not getting this angle right here. I want to get more material out from that angle. Just right click in here, select tool plane. In this case, I'm just going to use a solid face, and I'll pick that face. I'll get my X and Y the way I want it. Hit OK, and now that's added to it. That's part of the routine. Regen and go. The other thing that's cool about this one is if you find, say, automatic, semi-automatic, or manual, that's like really like helpful. One of those, depending on the part you have, you can set a default for that. So you can basically import this toolpath and just apply new geometry to it and regen. It's going to look at the same planes and basically rough that part. So like a family of parts or something like that, where the planes don't change, but the size of the part does. It's kind of handy. Change your tool, regen. So using like a template format for this toolpath can really help. All right, moving on. So is Opti being phased out of multi-axis machines? No. And we can kind of take a look and see the differences between the two. Because 3+2 Auto is in the multi-axis toolpath interface, you have more enhanced functionality across most options. However, this could be even more daunting to a beginner user. And remember, you don't have to control, you can't have total control over every plane. So if you want to change a step over for the back plane on this 3+2, you can't. You have to live and die by the step over, and all those sorts of things. Where Opti, you have full control over all of that stuff. And also another big difference also lies in the holder checking options. 3+2 Auto has enhanced holder checking, including holder versus shank versus shoulder, also angular clearance. Opti doesn't have any of that stuff, but it's got like a pretty simplified interface, and it's pretty powerful. The trimming, and you can also have it tilt. It's pretty powerful, but it's more streamlined, easier to teach. A little more straightforward. So Opti still adds tremendous value. No multi-axis license needed, more control over parameters per plane, and a human brain and skilled programmer still required. So at the end of the day, it comes down to what's important to you. Maximum of machining efficiency and control with OptiRough, or programming quickly and easily with a similar result with 3+2. All right, another new toolpath here. We got Multiaxis Pocket. So just like its name, it's a multi-axis pocketing toolpath. But I think the coolest thing about this toolpath is the floor finishing and wall finishing. So you have different tool axis control page. It's different from traditional control methods. Rather than choosing a control strategy or defining fixed angles, we're specifying a min, max, and target range for the tool contact point. So I don't know, if you use like a barrel mill or something like that, this is going to really help out. You're going to be able to utilize the shape of that tool a lot better, defining your contact point rather than maybe a fixed tilt angle or something like that. With the advanced accelerated finishing tools, you have all these exaggerated geometries to cut down on step downs. This tool axis control page is going to let you utilize that to its fullest. So I'll show you a little example of that. I've got a pocket here that I've already roughed, and I'm just doing the thing to kind of show off. This is a curved wall. It's got a little taper, some negative draft, so it's a little complex in there. So I got to finish this. And with a traditional tool, even I guess with a taper mill, you could do quite a bit with a taper mill. But in this case, I'm using a barrel form. And I've set my tool axis control up in such a way that I'm going to utilize the maximum amount I can. So you can see that first hit right there. I'm taking a lot of material. And every successive one after that, it's not a small step over. It's a nice big step over. And does a real good job down in the corners, just getting around and coming out. The other cool thing about this is if you look at it from the top, any effort, this toolpath took me a minute to do. That's how easy it is. But look how smooth the transitions are. There's literally, I don't have to tell it to do that. It just does it by, by nature, I guess. So, pretty cool stuff. All right, so moving on to some enhancements to toolpath. So Rotary Advanced is, I feel like it's an underutilized toolpath. It's probably 3 or 4 versions old, so it's relatively 4-axis roughing toolpath. And what they've done in 2021 is added 2 new things to it. So adaptive depths. So kind of in a nutshell, the behavior in 2021 has received some updates. You know, like we've had a step down, that's fine. It does a really good job. But the roughing and finishing functionality of this toolpath was limited to fixed depth steps, which means that on screw geometry with stepped radial surfaces or with variable sealing surfaces, you had difficult choices to make with depth step field. You know, like, do you make a small step over so it hits everything, but you got kind of a lot of wasted motion? Or do you do big step downs where you just do a bunch of other Rotary Advanced with stock model calculations, you know, which at the end of the day, you kind of want to just do it in one. You know, you don't want to step through all that stuff. Rotary Advanced Adaptive Depth Steps works a little differently than OptiRough. The minimum distance is the percentage of the base step distance and determines the window in which the path is allowed to create another pass to clean material. So within that window, it can make whatever pass it deems fit to make sure it cleans up all of your part, basically. Area Rough has an option for add cuts, same kind of thing. You know, so it's adding cuts where it thinks it should, and it's going to kind of violate your step down. You know, so instead of doing 0.5, it might do 0.95 or 495 or something different, depending on what you set for a percentage. So that's kind of the setting. It's really simple. You know, your normal step down is here. You're just giving it a minimum distance. And I'll show you kind of a visual on what that looks like. So in this case, this is a traditional depth step. We have a half-inch step down. And as you can see in the part, it can only fit 2 of them, from the top of the stock to what it finds to be the smallest diameter it can fit, and still not violate the 0.5. With the adaptive depth step, you can see that with that percentage set, it does the 0.5, but it's also looking for other areas where it can clean up. It even got inside this little area here. So within one toolpath rather than maybe a couple, you know, you get what you're looking for on the roughing side. And another new feature to the toolpath is the filleting sharp corners, which is pretty self-explanatory. Instead of leaving little burrs, you can set it to kind of round the corners. Morph Extend. This is probably one of the more used toolpaths that I use for sure. It's super versatile, but it's very much geometry driven. And that's been its best and maybe worst attribute. So as you can see in this picture, we have 2 pieces of wireframe. They're the blue. And with Extend Edge Curve on, it's blending from one to the other, and it's extending out to the edge of the drive surfaces. In this picture, this is what it would do in 2020. It would go to the end of the blue wireframe and start doing something weird because it didn't care about that anymore. It was only concerned with the blue wireframe. With that option on now, it says, okay, you only have wireframe from here to here. I'll extend it out to the edge of your drives, and then you have a nice transition here. I want to show you a little bit better of an example of that too. All right, so in this example, we have a curved wall. We're doing a morph. Our geometry that we've picked is the solid edges. So our from is up here, and our to is down here. They're 2 different lengths, 2 different shapes. So if we were to look at the back plot motion, you're going to notice some like kind of herky-jerky kind of motion. Does this little, I don't know, back and forth motion. And that's not very good for tool life, you know. And I have to, if to fix it, I got to go extend, you know, and get these just right and play around with it for a while. Now I can just go into parameters hit extend edge curves. It lines everything up, evens it out, and now look at my transitions are off the part a little bit. Watch the motion of the tool. We're not going to get any of that herky-jerky stuff. Just going to go back and forth, back and forth. So that's a really nice addition to Morph for sure. All right, so miscellaneous improvements now. For the curve, flow, multi-surface, swarf, and port toolpaths, for your lead in, lead out, you have feed rate control. That's actually really big. Obviously, everyone knows when you first get into a cut, or maybe when you're getting out of a cut, that's usually the time where you may end up adjusting feed rate. So now with some of the legacy multi-axis toolpaths, curve, flow, multi-surface, swarf, you have that ability now. All right, safety zone enhancements. A new shape for safety zone called wrap. Now I'm just going to show you this. This is, I think it's a really cool feature, especially if you have a part where you have a lot of transitions from one side to the other or whatnot. In this case, I have a trimming pass. So I finished the part, but I had some burrs. I want to come in with a tool and just trim the edges. I set it up to have a wrap safety zone. So when I do my trim pass, when it finishes, it finds the minimum distance to transition over to my next cut. So traditionally, we probably use a box for that. So looking at both of those, you can see, are you, changing lives and, kind of whatever? No, it's not a lot, but you're cutting all that corner off. And if you've got a lot of like corners and, transitions, you're definitely going to cut down on some of the cycle time. So not a bad little feature to add to the safety zone at all. All right, improved toolpath processing time and surface accuracy. So this one's kind of a little bit of a techie one, but in general, they've kind of revamped the toolpath engine. So in Mastercam 2021, the morph, parallel, curve, along curve, and project curve toolpaths now run smoother and faster. Core functionality of these toolpaths was overhauled to hold better surface quality, accuracy, and normal resolution, which translates into more stable vectors coming from the toolpath engine. There's been improvements of up to 40% better cut times on some machines, with an average of about 20% on part testing. You should yield better surface finishes across the board, in addition to cut time improvements. There is no toolpath processing time increase or other negative changes associated with this improvement. You do not need to make changes manually, just simply regenerate the toolpath in Mastercam 2021. And the last thing is posts. What we got new is in the mill turn arena. Some new mill turn machine environments. So the Doosan Link, the Haas ST, Akuma LB. So if you have mill turn and you have one of these machines, shoot us an email. We'll get you some information on it, whatever you need. And if you don't have mill turn, but you have one of these machines, again, just shoot us an email and we can help you out. So I just want to say thank you for attending the virtual rollout. Definitely, truly appreciated. Kind of weird times nowadays, but at least you get your Mastercam fix. And if there's any questions, I can answer questions. And if not, if you have questions later, I have my contact information up.
I'm unmuting Rick to see if he's got any questions. Hey, Rick, you got any questions?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yep.
Okay. A couple of questions I have on the post. One of the things, I haven't updated one in a while. I've got a router post that I need to update to 2021. I forgot the procedure for doing that.
Yeah, shoot me an email and I can help you out.
Okay. Also, is there major post changes between 2020 and 2021, or is there most posts are going to be working pretty much the same?
Yeah, there's there's few enhancements to the actual code itself. Nothing to write home about at all. And yeah, they'll migrate just fine. So far, we don't have any new defaults yet, so maybe 2022.
Okay. All right. I got a couple things I need to try out on that multi-axis because I had a couple weird things happen in the Rotary, and I think one of the things you showed me hopefully will fix that. So I got around it, but it was a challenge.
Just make sure you have stock set up, or else that toolpath doesn't do very good.
I'm sorry, repeat that again?
Make sure you have stock set up for the Rotary Advanced, or else that toolpath isn't going to really work good for you.
Okay. The problem I had was getting down to the bottom of a pocket in one of them. For some reason, it didn't want to do that. If you, no matter what you did.
We'll take care of that.
Okay.
Yeah, because you were limited to just your step down.
Yeah, I think that's the problem. It was if you had to step down that didn't divide quite right, you didn't get to the bottom of the pocket.
Yeah, that's the difficult decisions we used to make.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's for sure. I'm trying to remember. That's all I can remember at the moment. There was something else, but I'll hit you with an email later anyway.
Cool. Sounds good.
All right, thank you very much.
Not a
All
problem.
right. Hey, take care, and talk to you later, Rick.
Yeah, maybe someday when we can do lunch again when the restaurants open up.
Sounds like a plan.
All right.
We'll have
Take
beer.
care. Yeah, we can figure out how the beer dispenser works then. Yeah.
All right.
Have a
Hey,
good one.
take care, Eric. I'm going to end the webinar, and everybody take care. Have a good one.
Take
Later.
care, Dave.
Bye.
Take care, Eric. Thank you.